You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, Nary here from Drake Wing Gaming. Some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you with another Let's Play episode of Temptation's Ballad. Alrighty, so guys, let's go ahead and pick up right back where we left off. I'm leaning back in my little chair here. I've got some pillows propped up. I'm nice and comfy, so let's go ahead and get to recording, shall we? Alright guys, let's jump right back into it. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's friggin' go. Okay, here we go. Alright, she folded it up and leaned her head back, staring quietly at the stone ceiling. I don't know. She closed her eyes and let the silence of her cold room wash over her. Well, I suppose I did learn something new today. Knight Commander, have you ever heard of a gesture called high five? Oh dear. Chapter 1. The Liar, the Commoner, and the Chosen One. Ooh. Character glossaries of Chapter 1. I hope this is not it. Holiday Cold Bonebreaker, okay. Ah, okay. Stats, nice. As the son of the legendary mercenary Marrow Bonebreaker, Cole is expected to follow in his father's footsteps despite his diminutive size and lack of strength. A compulsive and cunning liar, Cole has a talent of worming himself into and out of trouble completely unscathed. The same cannot be said of his companions, whom he drags along with him. Items. Darkwood loot? Ooh. A finely crafted loot gifted to Cole by his father. This loot is built with the most durable hardwood that Axia can offer. Highly resistant to damage, it can be used to bash opponents unconscious while suffering little to no damage. Marrow says, if my boy's bard hobby doesn't work out, at least this loot will stay useful as a blunt instrument. Loincloth of holding. Ha! A belt and loincloth scavenged together from the remains of a bag of holding. The interior's design is lined with pockets that can hold up to 115 pounds of goods and trinkets without weighing down the wearer. That is nuts. Cole usually fills it with snacks, lockpicks, and several decks of cards for cheating purposes. The loincloth also has the ability to hide the wearer's erection under all circumstances. Cole finds this feature particularly useful. Arcane Crystals. A handful of low-grade arcane crystals that Cole retrieved from a mission for Soul's arcane curiosities but never bothered returning. These crystals are capable of absorbing weak spells and releasing them at a later time. Cole decided to hold on to them to satisfy his own fascination with magic. Soul and Ruby. A ruby from Prince Cassius's obsidian crown. Cole stole it during his mission to retrieve the crown alongside Artemis Gautier. Gautier? The gem's interior glows with a sinister light. If gripped, one can almost feel the ruby pulse with a faint heartbeat. Alright, well, who else we got? Sid Shrikewood. Years old. Yep, you definitely got a lot of strength. Intelligence is pretty low. The humble adoptive son of the local innkeeper and cheesemaker, Sid dreams of one day becoming a famed adventurer. He has trouble concentrating on menial tasks, which lead him to be fired from multiple jobs and apprenticeships in the past. But he's very hopeful that his current adventuring job with Cole will be what finally sticks. Sid admits that he's not exactly the smartest tool in the shed and is rather self-conscious about it, but believes that his incredible natural-born strength is his only redeeming trait. Items. Undersized tunic and pants. Most of the clothes he buys from the market district are several sizes too small for Sid. All his clothes are hand-sewn and adjusted by Sid's mother to fit him better, but they are still rather small and tight for his liking. Glasses. Sid suffers from severe nearsightedness. Without these glasses, he can barely perceive anything further than a few inches from his face. He takes great care of his spectacles since they are rather pricey, and he'd rather not worry his parents with replacing them. Roasted claw tip. A rusty and aged fragment of what appears to be a claw weapon. It is the only keepsake Sid has from his birth mother, whom he knows very little about, but keeps it with him as a lucky charm. Ah, Artemis time. Artemis Johanna Gautier. I'll pause it right. Cold Retriever. She's got some well-rounded stats. Her charisma, I would say, is very low. As the Creator's chosen one, Artemis is destined to protect the world from a terrible fate like the many chosen before her. Despite this important role, Artemy has lived a sheltered life inside the Grand Cathedral and scarcely knows anything about the outside world and thus feels utterly unprepared. Naive and optimistic, she is ever determined to improve herself and fulfill her duty, no matter what obstacles may stand in her way. Items. Standard Church Knight Sword and Shield. A standard sword and shield set from the Holy Knights of the Church. The quality is rather low for church equipment. Artemy is attuned to this set and can magically summon and dismiss them at any time or location. Worn candlestick. Well, some item. A small used candlestick worn to the last inch of its life. Small finger-like impressions line the sides of the candle, as though it had been gripped deathly tight by a young child. Artemy carries this in her pocket at all times as a solemn reminder. Other. Artemy notably carries very little on her person, lacking even a basic coin purse. All of her earnings and material payments from missions go straight to the church's vaults. As Her Excellency likes to remind her, the Creator's chosen should maintain their humility and free themselves from worldly indulgences. Alright guys, I do believe it is time that we go to Chapter 2. Nice. Proceeding. Chapter 2. Vulnerability and Risk. The Marauders District. Bonebreaker Mercenary Company. Nighttime. Uh-oh, what y'all doing in there? Y'all being filthy heathens. The night was quiet and still at the Bonebreaker Mercenary Company. Quite unusual. After many long hours partying and drinking with his pop and the other mercenaries, Cole had retired to the attic in a happy daze of exhaustion and quickly fell into a deep slumber. His chest rose and fell softly in the dim room while he slept. It was little wonder that Cole failed to notice the dim red glow in his pocket as the stolen ruby pulsed with life. Wisps of infernal magic flickered gently across the room and washed over Cole's unconscious body, gently probing his unguarded mind. A low voice suddenly rumbled through the night. Its deep tone reverberated through Cole's chest like a dark, rich ocean wave. Paladai Bonebreaker, are you worthy of my temptation? Cole mumbled obliviously in his sleep and rolled over. More wisps of infernal energy spilled out of Cole's pocket and surrounded him in a fog of red. The deep rumbling voice leaned closer with an amused hum. Temptation is a decision. In the heat of the moment, taunted by others' expectations and your own desire, you must choose. What do you value more? It is within that moment's decision that one's truth is revealed. Infernal magic raked at the back of Cole's mind as the voice laughed. I wonder, what will I find within you? Detect thoughts. Cole was suddenly in freefall. He gasped and flailed aimlessly as incoherent memories and voices flew past him in his descent. Cole squeezed his eyes shut and shook his head wildly. He was clearly dreaming. Nothing makes sense right now. But this felt much too lucid for a normal dream. Suddenly everything stopped. A single memory clawed to the surface within his mind and flooded his senses. He was still a young boy on the day he was injured. Still at the age of 14 and still full of dreams and becoming the greatest warrior in the land, and a worthy son to the great Marrow Bonebreaker. Cole had been fed tales of his father's great deeds throughout his entire youth, and the thought of living up to even a fraction of Papa's legend still filled him with utter excitement. One day he would be just as great as Papa and continue his grand tale of adventure. Perhaps Cole would become just as legendary. Such was youth, filled to the brim with optimism and misplaced hope for the future. Then came the injury. Cole wished that the injury had occurred during a great battle, or maybe during an intense sparring match. That would have made for an interesting story at the very least. But no. The injury happened during the most basic training exercises. His first training exercise. Calling it an exercise at all was being generous. That morning, young Cole had rushed into the Bonebreaker Guild's training room with a giddy anticipation. It would be his first time wielding a weapon. He had chosen an axe, just like Papa. Then Cole promptly spent about 10 minutes struggling to even lift it off the ground. No matter how he heaved and threw his weight about, his skinny little arms couldn't lift the battle axe. After a while, he tried lifting a smaller axe, only to be met with the same result. A size smaller, and then an even smaller one. Finally, he managed to wield a tiny throwing axe with relative ease, but it still felt rather heavy in his grip. Fortunately, Papa was away on mercenary business that morning and wasn't there to see Cole's embarrassing bumbling. Cole spent another short hour in the sparring room that day. Hamish directed him on basic weapon drills, proper grips, and battle stances. Cole followed his instructions enthusiastically, paying little mind to the growing strain and soreness that began booming in his forearms and calves. Pain was just weakness leaving the body, after all. He would never become a great warrior like Papa with that little soreness. But the pain kept growing. By the end of the hour, young Cole could barely stand. Hamish found him curled up on the floor in a mess of quivering limbs and distressed sobs. The rest of the day was a painful blur to young Cole. He remembered Hamish's soothing words and comforting grip as the older hyena carried him across town. They'd rushed to the nearest healer in the city. Hamish got into a squabble with several other patients as he fought his way to the front of the line. A long and agonizing examination and treatment followed. Cole remembered the healers probing his pained limbs with magic while pouring bitter herb mixtures down his throat. The healer and Hamish spoke in hushed tones while Cole laid unmoving on a bed and waited for the pain to subside. "Well, did you find out what went wrong?" The healer spoke hesitantly. "Our examination showed your son's body to be unexpectedly feeble. There were slight tears along his arm and leg muscles from what sounds like slightly strenuous activity. He will recover from this easily, but we advise you to avoid repeating these activities on a frequent basis." Cole shot up from his bed and immediately slumped back down as pain racked viciously through his limbs. "Oh, wait! What about my mercenary training? How will I—" Cole's voice died in his throat as the pitying expression on the healer. "I'm very sorry, young man. You mean I can never become a warrior like Papa? Your father tells me that you struggled through a severe illness as an infant, did you not? While you have recovered, it appears the disease had a lasting impact on your body. I see this happen very often in children who fall ill during their early development stages. You're very small for a boy your age. For your muscles are particularly weak and fragile, likely from stunted growth. While your body may grow slightly more resilient with age, it's unlikely you will ever grow to a state where you can become an effective warrior. As your healer, I strongly recommend you pursue a different career." Young Cole's voice cracked as the hopelessness of the situation dawned on him. But you said I'll probably grow better with age. Isn't there a chance? Young man, please think about this. As a mercenary, you will undoubtedly face perilous combat situations with many able-bodied warriors. While your body may grow slightly more resilient to the strain, others will still hold the advantage over you. The likelihood of you dying needlessly in battle is almost a guarantee. I recommend you leave such tasks to more capable men. Cole fell silent, his head slumping back limply. His chest lurched painfully as he tried to wrap his mind around the situation. All his dreams and hopes vanished in an instant. A gentle, comforting hand rested on his shoulder. Hamish leaned close with a sympathetic smile. "It's okay, kiddo. It's not the end of the world. You don't have to be a warrior to be a great man in life. Your papa and I will—" Hot anger flashed through across Cole's chest. He whipped his head around and glared at Hamish furiously. "That's it? You'd give up on my chances of becoming a warrior just like that? I thought you believed in me." "No, Cole, that's not what I meant." Cole hardly remembered what Hamish said. Hamish. Hamish? How do you pronounce that name? Hamish or Hamish? Only a deep well of frustration and fury filled his young mind as he lashed out at Hamish. Cruel words and blame spilled from his throat like angry tears ran down his cheeks. It was unfair. All of it. Unfair. Cole also knew it was unfair of him to pour all his resentment onto Hamish, but it felt better to continue yelling than pause and dwell upon the pit of despair that filled his chest. Went from a completely dark screen to a completely light screen. Funny. Cole let out a gasp and his eyes snapped open. The world around him was still dark in the depths of this lucid dream. What in the world was happening to him? A deep, sinister voice chuckled, the sound reverberating in every direction. "A runt, eh? And filled with such shame and doubt. You will make the perfect host for me." Cole snarled and clawed at the nothingness around him. "Get the fuck out of my head! I am a friend. I can help you in your plight. You wish to become a great warrior like your father before you. You seek power. I can provide. All that you desire could be within your grasp. All you need to do is accept my pact." "Who are you?" The voice chuckled again. "You may call me." A loud bang from downstairs shook the entire Bonebreaker Guild building. Cole let out a scream and nearly fell off his hammock bed. His heart thumped against his chest at a mile a minute as his eyes darted through his surrounding in a panic. It was just a dream. Just a dream. A rather unpleasant dream, but a dream nonetheless. Cole took a deep breath to recollect himself. Maybe he shouldn't have drunk so many ales with Papa last night. Another sharp bang echoed through the entire building and shook Cole in his hammock. Papa must be sparring with the other mercenary men in the training room again. Do they have to do this so early in the morning? Cole let out a yawn and scratched his dazed head. Time to drag himself through another day, he supposed. Huh? Cole blinked and let out a yelp at the sensation of being something slithering on his lap. No. Oh, hello there. A small ball python that lay curled up in his lap looked up at him expectantly and let out a tiny hiss. "Ah, I see you are finally awake, young mortal." Cole stared, and then stared a little more. This tiny snake was talking to him. "The fuck are you?" I love how that's reaction. Instead of screaming or jumping away, he's like, what are you doing, boy? What are you doing, buddy? The ball python reared his head back, utterly offended. Puny mortal, you should feel honored to be graced by the great temptation demon, Malus. Bow before me and show proper respect. I may still consider granting you my... Oh my god, that is amazing! Ah! Cole yelled down the hall. Papa, a vermin got into the house again! From downstairs, Barrow let out a laugh and shouted through the thin walls of the building. Another one? Just squish it and throw it out the window! Wait, the poor thing isn't hurting anyone. Just scoop it up with a cup and let it outside. Cole glanced down at the wiggling snake in his grip with a shrug. Well, you heard Papa. Wait! Mercy! I beg, mercy! You wouldn't dare harm one as powerful and fearsome as I, would you? That poor snake. Cole hesitated before dropping the writhing python back onto his bed. You sure talk big for an itty-bitty little snake. Insolent mortal! I am simply weakened after being summoned into the material plane. Had I retained my true form, you'd be shaking in your boots from my might. Cole squinted at the little screaming snake as he tried to wrap his head around the situation. You're a demon, or maybe just delusional. How did you even get in my room? Ah, that is simple. I arrived through that ruby that you stole yesterday, you see. Cole immediately patted his pockets. Wait, where's the ruby anyway? Did you fucking eat it? You fool! I am the ruby! As though to demonstrate, the black python curled up into a tight ball. In a puff of red smoke, he transformed into a small, blood-red ruby. In another puff, Malus returned to his snake form with a flourishing grin, as though awaiting applause for his little trick. Cole groaned and massaged his temples with a grimace. I just wanted to bring home a pretty gem as a gift for Papa. Now I gotta deal with a pest problem? Any chance I can separate you from the ruby, like, with a knife? Malus immediately recoiled in horror. Well, wait! I'm unconditionally connected to the ruby! You wouldn't want to break such a valuable gem, would you, dear mortal? I don't know. You sound like more trouble than I'm willing to put up with. Wow, these mortals are a lot less fearful and groveling than my brother made them out to be. Wait a second. If you're a tiny demon snake living in my ruby, does that mean that the other 3 rubies have little snakes in them too? How dare you! I am no little snake! I am the great and powerful temptation demon, Malus! Yeah, you don't look like a Malus. I think I'm just gonna call you Noodle or something. The python let out a melodramatic wail. How dare you degrade me with such a cute nickname! This wasn't how my first interaction with a mortal was supposed to go! You were supposed to grovel at my feet and worship the very air I breathe! Cole stared at the snake incredulously. Feet? I had feet before I left the infernal plane, okay? As much as it pains me to admit, I am only so tiny and weakened because I am the youngest of my siblings. This is my first trip to the material plane. I suppose my inexperience has left me in this sorry state. Thank goodness we got separated. If my siblings saw me like this, I'd never hear the end of it. Cole scratched his chin thoughtfully. Why would Prince Cassius order a crown with 4 demons in it? He's just starting to sound a little fishy. You and your demon pals better not be planning to cause trouble. Mouse's head drooped onto the hammock with embarrassment. Well, I'm afraid I was a little too excited to travel to the material plane for the first time and didn't really pay attention when my siblings were explaining the mission. Oh, great. Do not mock me. I remember a few things at the very least. We are to infiltrate this snooty city and absorb negative emotions from you puny mortals. Your emotions will feed us and become a wonderful source of infernal energy. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right here. Thank you so much for watching as we embark upon the adventures of Cole, Sid, Artemy, and Noodle, the newest member of the party. Well, everybody, welcome Noodle. Oh, I'm sorry. Malus, the little noodle snake. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks, or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!